What is going on YouTube? Espresso Shucko here, and today we are hitting the Reg G ranked ladder with this Terapagos team. Joining our quirky little turtle is going to be Raging Bolt, Rillaboom, Urshifu, Tornadus, and Clefairy. And the reason why I call it a quirky little turtle here is because Terapagos, mechanic-wise, is a turtle of many faces. It starts off in its baby form here, the tiny little turtle, and once it hits that battlefield, its Terra Shift ability immediately kicks in, transforming it into its terastal form, where we know it from being the mascot of the Indigo Disc DLC, and its ability therefore becomes Terastal. Terastal is a multi-scale like ability where when Terapagos' HP is full, the first damaging move that comes into contact with Terapagos turns into a resisted hit, doing less damage. And that, I'm going to put in a little asterisk right there. If it's a ghost type attack, Terastal doesn't activate because Terapagos is immune to ghost type attacks since it is a normal type in its base typing, which is going to be delightful. We have Calm Mind on this Terapagos here to boost up our special attack and special defense, and if Terapagos moves before our opponents and they go for a special attack, well, that Calm Mind and Terastal combination just means Terapagos is going to take nothing. It's going to take negative damage at that point. So what we're going to do here is we're going to try to get a Calm Mind off with Terapagos, go for Terra Star Storms and Earth Powers to do some big damage, and go from there. We have the safety goggles on this thing here too to protect it from Spore and Rage Powder as well. So Terapagos here is going to have a wonderful time in theory, and on top of that, Terapagos, when it terastalizes, it goes into its stellar form, so it gains an extra 25 points into its special attack stat naturally, so it goes up from base 105 special attack to 130, and it jumps up to about base 160 HP, which means Terapagos is going to get bulky incredibly fast as soon as it terastalizes. So all the more reason to get a Calm Mind boost up. And now, as far as the rest of the team goes, we're going to experiment with Clefairy and its Friend Guard ability as well, since the Pokemon on the field will take 75% of the damage as opposed to the full 100%. So we have Life Dew here on Clefairy to heal Clefairy and whatever partner it has on the field at the same time. We have Follow Me to redirect attacks away from the likes of Terapagos and Raging Bolt, since Raging Bolt will also want to set up with Calm Mind. We have Moonblast to do a little bit of damage, and then we have Helping Hand to push the rest of my Pokemon's damage output over to the next point. We have Urshifu here to do some big damage with Surging Strikes in close combat. We have U-Turn to pivot it out. We have Tornadus here with Rain Dance to boost up that Surging Strikes for the Urshifu. We have Tailwind to give everything speed, which Terapagos will definitely appreciate, and even Raging Bolt will appreciate it, since this will allow us to potentially outspeed some Sucker Punch users with Thunderclap, which could flip the tide of battle. And honestly, it's always satisfying to see Raging Bolt just outspeed an Urshifu single strike and get that Thunderclap off. So there is that at the end of the day. We have Rillaboom here, and while it does have priority in the form of Grassy Glide and Fake Out, having a fast Wood Hammer to do some major damage is going to be really nice at the end of the day. And finally, we have the Calm Mind on Raging Bolt to set it up as well. Get a special attack and special defense boost into it, and if we have Rillaboom and Raging Bolt on the field at the same time with grassy terrain, well, the grassy seed that Raging Bolt is going to activate and give it a +1 to its physical defense as well. And then Raging Bolt can go for big damage with either the Thunderclap or Dragon Pulse, or go for a little bit of speed control with the Electroweb. So anyways, that's the team in a nutshell. Let's jump on in to some battles. We've got a Koraidon team, and yes, that is an Executor that I see down there. So we have Chenpao, Ursaluna, Garganacl, Executor, and Grafaiai, which I'm curious to see what that Executor can do, not gonna lie. Tornadus is going to be really nice here, since we can undo the sun with Rain Dance. The Executor could be a little bit scary, but what I might be able to do is I might be able to go for Rain Dance with the Torn. I do have my Covert Cloak, which could be really handy. U-turning off with Urshifu could be very, very handy for dealing with things. I think we bring the Clefairy for some redirection support, and I think we bring Terapagos. Now, I don't dislike getting a Photosynthesis boost off Raging Bolt, but I don't want to necessarily risk the combination of dragon type attacks potentially coming off the Koraidon, ice type off the Chien-Pao, and earth power off the Ursaluna Blood Moon. So I think we'll bring the Terapagos. If we can get a Tailwind up too, that could be really nice for Tornadus. So yeah, if we get that Tailwind up, that could be really nice because the Rain Dance will help the Urshifu. We can go for accurate Bleak Wind Storms. We're Covert Cloak on Torn, so we don't have to worry about Grafai going for a Fake Out. Now, Executor Koraidon is the lead here, so I think I'm going to U-turn into that Executor. I think I'm going to leave the Koraidon alone here. So we're going to U-turn off of you. I assume they Terra, but at the same time, would you Terra a Koraidon into Terra Fire right in front of an Urshifu Rapid Strike? And I'm gonna go with no. I'm gonna assume that. But I don't think you'd necessarily Terra this Executor. Now, Executor's abilities, to my knowledge, it's got Chlorophyll as its main ability. I'm pretty sure Harvest is its hidden ability. I don't remember if Executor has another ability or not. So I'm just not sure what to expect off this Executor. Koraidon's going to U-turn away, so that makes a lot of sense. Maybe it was meant to be a Sleep Powder off the Executor? Like, maybe they're using it, like, similar to a Venusaur, maybe? I don't know. But yeah, I'm definitely going to U-turn away and benefit from having my U-turn. Chien-Pao comes in here, so unfortunately, that would have been a really nice thing for Urshifu to deal with, but we're just going to straight up knock out the Executor, so we don't even have to worry about the Executor. Now, they could just get a free switch into Koraidon if they wanted to, but I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring Clefairy. With the logic being, I can Moonblast the Chien-Pao if I wanted to and just get some decent damage off into that thing. I could also Moonblast the Koraidon because I don't think you suspect that coming from the Clefairy. You might suspect that coming from the from the Torn with the Bleak Wind. But yeah, I want to get my Rain up though. That's the other thing, and they might just U-turn out with Koraidon. So I think what I do here is I think I follow me with Clefairy, and I think I go for the Bleak Wind Storm just to try to get a little bit of chip damage off into the Chien-Pao, and then I think the following turn I switch hard out for Torn and Moonblast into the Chien-Pao. So there's an Ice Shard coming into Clefairy, which that's going to do a lot with the Sword of Ruin. Also good to know that that is a Life Orb Chien-Pao. So the nice thing here is we might be able to connect the Bleak Wind Storm off into the Chien-Pao. And if we do, great. Here comes the Ursaluna, so we're going to get a little bit of damage off into the Chien-Pao and a little bit of chip into the Ursaluna. Now, outside of Koraidon and Chien-Pao, like, Urshifu can do some decent damage speed-wise, too. Yeah, like a close combat into Ursaluna could be really nice. I think what I'm going to do here, though, is I'm going to click Follow Me, and I think I'm actually going to go for Tailwind, because they don't have a Trick Room setter. So, instead of going for Rain Dance and then just having them undo that with Koraidon, I think it's in my best interest just to run down the clock that sense. So, it is going to be the Ursaluna going for the Terra, so I don't dislike going for a close combat into Ursaluna with Urshifu. Now, I do have to get rid of the Koraidon somehow for Terapagos, so there is that. If it's an Ice-type attack into Clefairy, great. I don't dislike that either, off of the Chien-Pao. So, we're gonna dodge an Icicle Crash. That's great news for Clefairy. Hyper Voice, not so much. That's not such great news. But, we get to keep Tornadus. Urshifu can come in here, and that Chien-Pao can eat a close combat. Yeah. I want them to eat in close combat. Yeah, let's just take a quick look at this here. We do have Protect on the Torn. I was second guessing if I was running Protect or not, which, you know, that's kind of awful. But what I'm going to do is, on the off chance it's Koraidon coming back in here, Koraidon doesn't appreciate taking a close combat to begin with. Neither does the Ursaluna. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to protect Torn, because I think they yeah, alright, they're going to switch out the Ursaluna. I figured they might have switched out the Chenpao instead. So I don't dislike getting off the close combat into Koraidon, because that should be an okay amount of damage. And I don't think the Chenpao does anything to Urshifu here. Yeah, they're going to go for an Ice Shard. I have Tailwind up too, so... Oh, okay. That is more than a... Yeah, okay. That is more than enough to knock that thing out. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to close combat into the Koraidon slot, and I'm going to Rain Dance just on the safe side. They might just switch out Koraidon, but I don't dislike them switching out Koraidon into Ursaluna as well, because I could just obliterate Ursaluna, but I gotta get the Chenpao out the field for Terapagos too, so we're gonna take the Ice Shard into Torn, which, that's fine. We're getting our Focus Sash preserved. Koraidon is going to go down here, thanks to Tailwind, so what I could do is I could go for a raw Terra Starstorm right into the Chenpao, and I can close combat into the Ursaluna, and that should be more than enough damage. So I think this is okay, because we have the Terra Shell to protect Terapagos. Now, the other thing too is, if you're running both Ice Shard and Icicle Crash, that means you're probably not necessarily running for attacking moves. So I think I can just straight up close combat. And if they're running the Ice Shard, I wonder if that means they're not running Sucker Punch per se. So I might see a... Oh, no, I lied. I was completely wrong on that one. But not enough to take out Urshifu. But the Vacuum Wave, yeah, the Vacuum Wave is unfortunately enough to knock me out. But Terapagos gets to take out the Chenpao here with the Terra Starstorm. And the Ursaluna is really not going to appreciate that. So what I could do here is I could Calm Mind. Or what I do is I just straight up Terastalize and I go for the Terra Starstorm. And then this way too, we get extra HP. Vacuum Wave is not the strongest of attacks, so I could take a Blood Moon instead, which would be a little bit scary, but we're going to just go raw into this with the Terra Starstorm. And the Terra Starstorm is going to be super effective damage into the Blood Moon. And the nice thing here is we are naturally faster, so I could have gone for the Calm Mind, but we'll just go for this here. So it's going to be a Hyper Voice. So that's unpleasant, but we lived it. And Vacuum Wave shouldn't be enough here at this range. Yeah. I think maybe the safer play would have been the Calm Mind on my end, just to get that special defense boost. The good news is that wasn't a Blood Moon. Blood Moon would have just absolutely did way too much damage, just based off of that Hyper Voice. But the nice thing here, though, is we do pick up the Ursaluna. It goes down thanks to our Terra Starstorm. So Terapagos does handle that relatively nicely. And the redirection off Clefairy definitely came in very clutch, and the Friend Guard was definitely more than enough to keep Tornadus around from that Ice Shard. So thankfully, Urshifu was just able to do so much more damage to the Koraidon than I initially expected with the close combat. So we were able to do major damage that way. So in the end, we cleaned it up in a very good manner, and also good game to my opponent. Alright, we have a Lugia team with Sableye, Entei, Comfey, Ogerpon, Cornerstone, and Garchomp. So this could be a really nice matchup for Terapagos, especially if we get a Calm Mind off. Now, we do have to be careful off of Sableye, maybe having Taunt, but we might be alright here, because what I'm thinking here is I can bring the Raging Bolt and the Rillaboom. I could go for the Calm Mind on the Raging Bolt, maybe U-turn out with Rillaboom, and then that way we can get Terapagos in that way. So we might have that as an option. We can also go with Urshifu. Urshifu would do a lot of damage to the Entei, especially since honestly, a Surging Strikes and Rain Dance combination might be nice into Entei. We would have to worry about the extreme speed, but we'll do some major damage. And plus, they can't protect right in front of the face of Urshifu, so I think we bring Urshifu Torn. I think we bring Terapagos, and Clefairy might be a nice defensive option as well with the Follow Me redirection to try to deal with the Sableye, especially if we need to get a taunt off, or to dodge a taunt rather. So I think maybe we bring the Clefairy and we go from there. So Urshifu would do some major damage to my opponent. Now, if they do have the Sableye as a part of the lead, I do have to maybe switch out Urshifu to avoid a Will-O-Wisp. So we might have to just play around the Sableye just a smidge. Now, the nice thing here too is, oh, you know what? Terra Dark might actually be kind of fun on Urshifu. It's going to be Entei Sableye, so I think what I'm going to do is, I think I'm going to scout for the Will-O-Wisp. I think they do have it, so I think I'll go for a Detect off of Urshifu this turn. I think I'll Rain Dance, and if they have it, great. What I could do is I could potentially just hard switch into Terapagos, and then that way we can keep Urshifu nice and healthy. If we can get Entei, or not Entei, sorry. If we can do some major damage to Entei with Urshifu, great. If we can get rid of Sableye, even better. Because what I would like to do is, I would like to maybe hard switch Urshifu into Terapagos, go for a Bleak Wind off a Torn, get some damage off into that thing, and then maybe just straight up Earth Power. We're going to see the extreme speed into the Urshifu slot, and we are going to see Rain Dance next because Torn is the faster prankster. So the moment of truth here is, oh, it's actually a Reflect. Alright, so that's not terrible by any means. Now, I do think I need to preserve Urshifu, so I think I might bring in Terapagos here. And I think I'm going to go for the Bleak Wind Storm, get a little bit of damage off. The extreme speed is not going to be doing me any favors, so it makes more sense to do a little bit of damage to these guys with the Bleak Wind instead of going for the Tailwind this turn. And then that way, Terapagos could just straight up Earth Power into the Entei slot if I need to. And if there's a taunt coming my way, it's not the worst thing imaginable. When Terapagos goes into its stellar form, it will get a little bit of a damage modifier, or rather an increase in special attack, so there is that. So here comes the Will-O-Wisp off of the Sableye, so calling the switch there into Terapagos was probably the better play. Now, Clefairy could have been a little bit on the nicer side here too, since Clefairy would have been able to absorb some damage, but I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch Torn into Clefairy, and I think I'm just going to straight up Earth Power into the Entei and get that Friend Guard out. And then this way too, my opponent now has two potential Pokemon to try to taunt. If they taunt Clefairy, great. I have a Moonblast that can just eat that Sableye, so we're going to see the light screen off of the Sableye, so unless they have a damaging move, that should be it as far as their stats go. Or, yeah, not their stats, sorry. I'm a little all over the place. I'm not feeling the greatest today, so the Earth Power is not going to do that much damage, but what we could do here is we could go for the Follow Me with Clefairy, get a Calm Mind off with Terapagos, and go from there. So I also don't mind going for the Calm Mind for the special defense boost, and then that way when Lugia comes in, great, we have some firepower to deal with that thing. Now, the Sableye might even be holding a Light Clay, and if it is, my opponent is going to have a lot of defensive turns working in their favor, but we'll be able to crack through. So we'll also get to find out if the Sableye does have Taunt. Alright, great. So the Sableye has no attacking moves whatsoever, so that is going to be okay. We'll take another Snarl off the Entei, but what I could maybe do is I could Moonblast into the Sableye, and I can get this Calm Mind off into Terapagos, and then maybe go for another Earth Power into the Entei. Try to get a little bit of chip damage off into it. We go from there. So we might be able to do something like that. Or the other thing I do here is I protect this one turn because they might just try to taunt into Terapagos. So I think I'm just Moonblast straight up into Sableye with Clefairy. They're going to withdraw Entei instead, so that is nice to see here. So they're probably thinking the Earth Power is coming their way, which I'm not going to do. I am going to protect Terapagos to block a taunt, and then I am going to Moonblast the Sableye. It's not going to be a lot of damage, but it's a little bit better than nothing. So they're actually going to Will-O-Wisp into the Clefairy, so we'll get burned, but we do have a nice defensive backbone with the Friend Guard working. That did absolutely nothing to the Sableye, but what we could do here is we could Terastalize and go for the Terra Starstorm, and then that way, if they try to set up, they just try to set up. Let's see here too. Clefairy's got 2 more turns of Taunt. So I could go for the Terastalization now and then just try to get a little bit of damage off into this thing. So we do have that. Now, I don't see any means of reasoning for why they would maybe go for another Will-O-Wisp, so I could maybe even just switch into the Urshifu. So we could do something like that too. I think they just taunt the Terapagos. So I think we Starstorm, and I think we just Moonblast. And just try to get a little bit of damage. Oh, they're going to switch out Sableye. Even better. So once Clefairy's taunt wears off, I can go for the... Life Dew and just try to get some HP back into Terapagos. I don't dislike getting the Terra off here because I'll get more HP and I'll also get a boost to my special attack stat. Since Stellar Terapagos is 130 as opposed to 105, so we do have that. Lugia is going to set up a Calm Mind, so I'm not going to be doing much to them since I'm at -1, but I do have that 1 special defense boost. And because Entei is coming back out here, I can always just go for more special defense and just go from there. So we do at least break the multi-scale, which the light screen is definitely working in my opponent's favor. So I think what I might do is I might Calm Mind with Terapagos here and then go for a Moonblast into the Lugia just to try to get a special attack drop. So we could do something like that, and yeah, this is the last turn to taunt. So I think what we're going to do here is we're just going to Moonblast into the Lugia. If we get lucky and we get a special attack drop, great. I don't necessarily think this is a Covert Cloak Lugia, so we might be able to do that. Now, we didn't see Leftovers recovery, so it could be Covert Cloak just to protect them from stuff like Fake Out. Unfortunately, that's going to be it for Clefairy, though. Clefairy is going to go down, but we can at least get this Calm Mind off with the Terapagos. I can go for Tailwind with Torn, which would be really good for Terapagos here, and then we can get some big damage off. Or at least attempt to get some big damage off, because that is a Lugia. It is a hefty, hefty opponent to deal with. So I think we go for the... Tailwind just to get our speed. And then that way we can get some big damage off into the Entei with this Earth Power. Unfortunately, we're not going to get the Life Dew because Clefairy did faint. So Terapagos does have to be careful. It is on a timer with that burn, so we'll just try to get some damage off into the Entei. If we get rid of it, great. I don't like that Sableye for the Urshifu, but if we get rid of it,
it's going to be a-okay. So Entei is going to hang in there. So that light screen is really helping them. We're going to dodge an Arrow Blast, which is really nice. And here comes another Snarl off the Entei. So I would love to get that thing off of the field. Reflect is now gone, so we do have 2 more turns of Light Screen. I think I'm going to Calm Mind here and get another special defense boost. I'm going to try to get the Bleak Wind off, and then this way, if we get rid of the Entei, great. We can try to focus down on getting rid of the Lugia at that point. So we're going to connect this Bleak Wind Storm, so no more Entei. Sableye comes in on the turn that their light screen wears off, so they can't even reset it right away. So that should be okay for Terapagos. And I think at that point, what we do is we set up Rain Dance for Urshifu, and then let Urshifu try to deal with the rest of the team. I think that's what we do at this point. So I might take a taunt with Terapagos, which I don't dislike. I kind of want to Earth Power right into it, if I'm being completely honest. And I don't mind going for the Rain Dance too. And then that way, if Tornadus faints instead of Terapagos, then Urshifu comes in and has its rain set up for its Surging Strikes, because we're going to need the Surging Strikes to do some big damage to that Lugia. So the nice thing here is we did miss that Arrow Blast, so we did take that damage into the Terapagos, and I should be at +3, so Lugia shouldn't really be doing the most amount of damage to me, and Urshifu is going to bypass that Reflect, which is going to be handy. So in theory, we do not pick up the Sableye. I was going to say, in theory, we get rid of the Sableye here, but we don't. And that's going to be it for Terapagos, unfortunately. So I think what I'm going to have to do here is, I think I'm going to have to Bleak Wind Storm with Torn just to try to finish off the Sableye and Detect with Urshifu this turn, and then go for the Surging Strikes into Lugia to get some major damage off of that thing. So it's not hopeless. It's not great by any means, but it's not hopeless per se. And because we do have the rain up, we don't have to worry about missing with Bleak Wind. So there is that, and we do have Tailwind on the field, so we should be able to get rid of Sableye here. And we might be able to see a speed drop into Lugia, but per se, I'm starting to suspect it is Clear Amulet though, or not Clear Amulet, Covert Cloak. So Sableye is now gone. Urshifu can do some major damage to this Lugia, and we are Focus Sashed, which is nice. And they took the bait for the Urshifu with the Arrow Blast and the Will-O-Wisp. So Sableye is gone. My Tailwind is gone too. Depending on who comes in here, it's going to be Comfey. So I think what I'm going to have to do is, I think I'm going to have to Surging Strikes into the Comfey here. And I think I go for the Bleak Wind Storm just to get a little bit of chip damage off into the Comfey as well. Because there's the Floral Healing into Lugia, which is not the greatest, but I was worried of a Draining Kiss coming into Urshifu, so we'll hit the Surging Strikes right here, and also good confirmation to know that my Urshifu is faster than the Comfey. Now, the Light Screen is not going to be doing me any favors as well. Neither is that Citrus Berry. So, unfortunately, Comfey is going to hang around this turn. But, at least we get the Bleak Wind Storm off. That's a good amount of damage to the Comfey, and we re-break the multi-scale. So, they're going to bring me down to 1 HP. I think I Bleak Wind one more time. I think I Detect just to get Comfey off the field, and then we go from there. And then we're just going to have to try to hit the Lugia for some big damage. I haven't hit this thing with a physical attack, so for all I know, this could be Rocky Helmet, which wouldn't be the greatest by any means, but at least we can do some major damage to Comfey with the Bleak Wind Storm. Actually, we get it off the field, which is just delightful. And I think Urshifu will be okay to hit the Lugia with the Surging Strikes, but I really don't like how this is gonna go for me, because Lugia, like I said, it does have that bulk. That is really good damage off the Urshifu, though, too, so... Unfortunately, though, I don't think Bleak Wind is going to be enough at this range. But if they went for Recovered, great, I can Surging Strikes. And if they... Oh, nope, great, even better. They went for Earth Power. We haven't seen Protect out of the Lugia. I think Bleak Wind at this point will be enough. Oh, but the rain did stop this turn, so... We got to go cold on this one. We got to go for a cold Bleak Wind, but if we connect, right on. Oh, Tornadus, you did it again. Which is funny because this is actually the first battle I'm sitting down to film, but Tornadus did what I needed it to do. We picked up the KO with the Bleak Wind Storm. 80 accuracy, little shaky at best, but we connected the Bleak Wind Storm and we picked off the Lugia, so we got really lucky that Tornadus didn't go down from that Aeroblast, so... I'm very happy with how that played out. Unfortunately, Terapagos didn't really get to do much, but hey, Urshifu came in to save the day alongside Tornadus, not Terapagos. Anyways, good game to my opponent. All right, we have a Zamazenta team here, which means we have a little bit of a problem for Terapagos because Body Press is going to hurt. Body Press is going to hurt a lot, but Raging Bolt looks really nice here. We have Thunderclap for the Urshifu and the Chen Pao. If we can hit that Pelipper, great. The Wheezing is interesting for this dynamic because if that's neutralizing gas, which I'm assuming 99% of it is, that's going to shut off all the abilities, so that might be okay. Urshifu might be okay. I don't think I bring Clefairy to this one. I think I bring Terapagos. But I think I bring Raging Bolt and Rillaboom right out of the gate, and I think Terapagos comes in the back just to try to do some damage, and then... I don't know if I necessarily want Urshifu or Torn. I don't think I want Clefairy at all. The poison typing can be really bad for Rillaboom, so I might need to consider my Terra for that, but I kind of want to save it for Terapagos. I'll bring the Urshifu, and then that way I don't have to worry about Wide Guard off of Zamazenta and Pelipper just shutting down my Bleak Wind. Because that's the only thing about Torn is Bleak Wind is the only attacking move on it. So I do have to be very careful around Wide Guard. Wide Guard can be really bad for Torn. So there is that. We'll see how it works out. So it is going to be... Urshifu, Rapid, I don't know why I almost said single, Urshifu and Pelipper versus Raging Bolt and Rillaboom. Now, I like the idea of going for Thunderclap into the Urshifu and going for a Fake Out into Pelipper. So, they might just hard switch out the Urshifu, which I would be okay with. I want to get the Pelipper off the field so that I don't have to worry about Wide Guard. If I can get Electro Web off into Urshifu, that's going to be delightful. And if I fake out Pelipper and Pelipper just doesn't get to do anything, awesome. Thunderclap can be really nice into the Urshifu. I don't realistically see you staying in with Urshifu. Yeah, they're going to switch out. So I'm going to get this fake out off into the Pelipper. And I feel like this is Zamazenta coming in. Yeah, it is. Okay, so defense raises one stage. I get my fake out off into Pelipper. The Rocky Helmet on the Pelipper, which means they could potentially be a Focus Sash on the Urshifu. I think what I'm going to do here is... I think I could Thunderclap into the Pelipper, but I could also go for the Electro Web. If they Wide Guard with Pelipper, great. I think they try to Hurricane my... Rillaboom, so... I'll bring in the my Urshifu, and then that way I can close combat or Surgic Strikes their Zamazenta, and I kind of want to get the Zamazenta to Terra, and then that way Terra Starstorm will at least do some super effective damage, but
on the off chance that it doesn't, at least then I have Earth Power to hit the Steel typing Zamazenta for super effective damage. So there is that, and I'm very, very confident that a Thunderclap will remove this Pelipper from the plane of existence. So Zamazenta or Pelipper, I think it's Zamazenta, if I'm being completely honest. Yeah, it is the Zamazenta. So Terra fighting, so they just want Body Press to just do as much damage as possible, which I don't blame them. Getting the double fighting type stab could be really nice off of Zamazenta here. But Raging Bolt, yeah, Raging Bolt's going to take that no problem. Oh, they went Tailwind. Okay. Did I click Electro Web? I clicked oh, okay, you know what? Still works. Yeah, that still works. We still get rid of the Pelipper. That said, not what I thought I was going to do here, but if I had gone for the Thunderclap, it just would have failed. So, you know what? I'll take it. I can Thunderclap the Zamazenta now, too. That's a nice thing as well. I can Thunderclap Zamazenta. We have Rain, thanks to Pelipper. My own Urshifu can do some damage. A double up from their two Pokemon could be bad, but the nice thing here is Wheezing is coming in instead, which honestly, I don't think you would bring in the Urshifu in front of my Raging Bolt. So I think what I can do here is I could maybe bring in Rillaboom just to get Fake Out again. Yeah, I think that might be what we need. So I do have my Focus Sash on my Urshifu, and a Surging Strikes could be really nice into Zamazenta. And in worst case scenario, they switch Zamazenta out. Well, they're still taking a boosted Surging Strikes into potentially their own Urshifu, which I feel like the Urshifu is going to have a unpleasant time if they're Focus Sashed. So, unfortunately, though, because of the Tailwind, my own Urshifu is going to go down here. But what I could do here is I could switch in Terapagos. Terapagos could go for a Calm Mind, and I can also go for a Fake Out into Zamazenta this turn. So we could do something like that. They have 2 turns of Tailwind, so I think what I could do is I Fake Out into Zamazenta this turn, I Calm Mind, I get a special defense boost. Nice. Okay, they protect with Zamazenta. I'm going to protect with Terapagos next turn. And then that way, what I can do is I could go for some big damage. Will-O-Wisp into Rillaboom is going to be really unpleasant. Yeah, okay. I guess what I should have did was I should have faked out into the Wheezing and just called the Protect on the Zamazenta. Yeah, okay. I think what I can do, though, with the Rillaboom is I could go for a U-turn. I could go for a U-turn off of one of these 2 Pokemon. And I protect Terapagos this turn. The Zamazenta is at -1 speed, which is nice. So, at +1 special attack with Terra Starstorm, I might be able to get some good damage off of that Zamazenta. And then that way, too, I U-turn out with Rillaboom, bring in Raging Bolt, and then go for a Electroweb maybe, or a... I think I just straight up Thunderclap, if I'm being completely honest. I think I straight up Thunderclap into the Zamazenta. Now, if they protect, that's okay. You know what, too? I could also Dragon Pulse. I could Dragon Pulse, and then that way, too, I don't have to worry about potential Wide Guard being able to undo Electroweb. So, the Zamazenta is at -1 speed. So, if I Terrastalize in... Oh, here's the other thing, though. Terra Starstorm becomes a spread move at that point. Okay. I don't think Raging Bolt is fast enough at this point. I think I go for the Terra, and I go for the Starstorm. If Wide Guard comes out off of the Zamazenta, well, I can't do anything. But in the bare minimum, if Zamazenta goes for Body Press to try to get rid of Terapagos, well, at least I have a chance. I mean, Terapagos is going to get some extra bulk as well, so we're going to see the Thunderclap come out, which means that Starstorm is going to go off. The question is this going to be enough at this range? It is going to be super effective, so maybe? Whew, okay. Okay. That's great. We get rid of the Zamazenta. Now we know there's an Urshifu in the back. Weezing is going to eat a berry. I think Terapagos can handle the Weezing. I think what I just need to do now is I just need to get Urshifu off of the field. That was a critical hit into Weezing, which was really unpleasant, but I think I just Thunderclap into Urshifu, and I think I just Starstorm. Yeah, I think that's all I have to do at this point. Because the Thunderclap's going to connect. That was not a Sash. Okay. I was thinking that was Sashed Urshifu, so Terapagos is just going to clean up, which is really nice. So, preserving Raging Bolt was definitely the call here. And we're lucky that even though the Weezing got the critical hit into Raging Bolt, that it wasn't enough to knock it out. Otherwise, the Urshifu's close combat just would have been enough. So, thankfully, we do pick up the KO that turn and secure the win. Now, the Zamazenta I was definitely scared of, but the fake-out pressure definitely was needed there. It was unfortunate that we took the burn on the Rillaboom, but getting that Starstorm and connecting with the Zamazenta for super effective damage was what we needed to do, because the Weezing just... I don't think the Weezing was going to be doing that much damage to the Terapagos at that point. So anyways, very happy about how that worked out. Good game to my opponent. Hey, thank you guys so much for checking out this Terapagos team in action. We had 3 solid matches here against Koraidon, Lugia, and Zamazenta. Now, unfortunately, Koraidon is not a good matchup for Terapagos, so we did have to kind of dance around that a little bit. But Terapagos came in when it was needed and picked up the final 2 KOs that we needed against the Chien-Pao and the terastalized Ursaluna Blood Moon, and we had to do it without the Calm Mind boost because that Ursaluna had the potential to threaten my Terapagos, so we just went right into it with that raw Terra Starstorm, and we were able to put it within KO range where we would be able to finish it up with a second KO. My opponent made one last attempt with a Vacuum Wave off of the Ursaluna, and fortunately for Terapagos, it just kind of bounced right off, and Terapagos sealed the deal with that Terra Starstorm. Now, with the Lugia team here, we did unfortunately have to play a little bit more towards the Urshifu and the Tornadus, so unfortunately my opponent just kept my Terapagos in check with their Entei and its Snarl and the light screen support off of their Sableye. But once we got them off of the field, Urshifu and Tornadus were able to have a delightful time. Tornadus removed the Sableye with a Bleak Wind Storm in the rain, and then with our Surging Strikes with Urshifu, we were able to soften up the Comfey for Tornadus to finish off with the Bleak Wind Storm, and then we were even able to soften up that Lugia, which it was very fortunate that we didn't see it recover off of that Lugia, otherwise Tornadus would have had a terrible time, but we were able to do some big damage with these Surging Strikes off of my Urshifu. Tornadus tanked an Aeroblast and then was able to seal the deal and pick up the KO into the Lugia with a Bleak Wind Storm. And then finally, we ended up playing up against a Zamazenta team, and Raging Bolt provided phenomenal support for Terapagos. Terapagos was able to get a Calm Mind boost thanks to Rillaboom going for Fake Out and just applying the pressure into my opponent's Terra-fighting Zamazenta. They saw the Fake Out coming and they went for Protect instead, which resulted in Terapagos having a free turn to set up that Calm Mind, and then we were able to get the Terra Starstorm in action and just pick up the KO into the Zamazenta. And we had a little bit of help from the Thunderclap off of Raging Bolt, which was just delightful. We got that Thunderclap off, and yeah, that basically sealed the deal, because then Urshifu Rapid Strike came in. We hit them with a Thunderclap as well, and then the Urshifu just dropped, and Terapagos finished off the Galarian Weezing that my opponent had on the field, which was just delightful. So hopefully you guys enjoyed watching the team play out in action. Unfortunately, I'm feeling a little under the weather, so I don't think I really quite had as much energy. I know I definitely sounded a little bit more congested compared to normal, so hopefully when I sit down to film my next video, I'm feeling a little bit better. But anyways, you guys have been awesome. Thank you for sticking around, and I will see you next time.